All right, let's talk about one of the most game-changing documents in history. We're going back to the French Revolution to check out a new rulebook that didn't just shake up France, it shook up the entire world. You know that feeling, right? When you're playing a game and it's just completely rigged, it is so frustrating. Well, imagine if your whole country felt like that. For the longest time, that's pretty much how most people in France felt. So, in 1789, the people of France basically said, game over. We're done with these old, broken rules. They decided to write a totally new rule book from scratch, one that would make the game of life fair for everyone. And that new rule book, it was called the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. Okay, so let's get into it. The first big section of this new rulebook is all about what they called forever rights. You can think of these like your built-in superpowers. You're born with them, and they're yours for life. No one can take them away. First up, liberty. This one is huge. It basically means you're free to do what you want, with one little catch. You can't use your freedom to mess with someone else's. It's like you can swing your arms around all day, but you gotta stop before you bop someone on the nose. Then we've got property. Super simple, right? Your stuff is your stuff. Period. The government can't just come and snag it. They called it a sacred and inviolable right. That's how important it was to them. All right, next up is security. This is the right to feel safe, you know? It means no one can just kick you out of the game or unfairly take what's yours. The whole point of the government is to protect you and your stuff. And wow, this last one was a real game changer. Resistance to oppression. This literally says that if the ruler starts cheating, breaking the rules, ignoring the people, you have the right to stand up and say no more. Whoa. So, we have these amazing new rights. But that brings up a big question. If the king isn't the boss anymore, who is? Well, this next part of the rulebook totally flips everything on its head. Check this out. The old rule was simple. The king's the boss. End of story. But the new rule? It says the nation is the boss. And who's the nation? It's everybody. It's you. So think about it. If the people are the boss, then what are government officials? They're employees. They work for us. That means they have to explain themselves. They can't just do whatever they want. They're accountable to the public.
Okay, so the people are in charge. Awesome. But a good game needs more than just a boss, right? You need clear rules for how to actually play. And that's exactly what this next part is about. The nitty-gritty of making things fair for everyone.
So, what's the recipe for a fair law according to this new rulebook? Well, there are 3 key ingredients. First, it has to be about what most people want, the general will. Second, everybody gets to help make it one way or another. And third, and this is maybe the most important part, the law has to be the same for everyone, no special treatment. And the fairness rules just keep coming. Look at this. Everyone is equal before the law. Check. You can't get arrested just 'cause. Check. You can speak your mind and write what you think. Check. And even taxes have to be fair, based on what you can actually afford to pay. This was a total overhaul of the system. Okay, this all sounds pretty perfect, doesn't it? A fair game for everyone, problem solved, everyone's happy. But not so fast, because someone else was watching all this, and he was not impressed. I mean, on the surface, it really did look like the perfect setup. Freedom, fair rules, the people in charge. What could possibly go wrong? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Was it truly a fair game for everyone? Enter Jean-Paul Marat. He was a journalist, and he was looking at these new rules with a very critical eye. And he said, hold on a second. This document talks a big game about equality, but it looks to me like it just gives all the power to the rich and leaves the poor with nothing. So, here was Marat's big warning. He basically said that money corrupts everything, even good laws. He argued that the poor had just swapped one set of bosses, the old aristocracy, for a new set of bosses, the rich landowners. And he made a chilling prediction. If things didn't get truly fair for the poor, the people were going to rise up again. And you know what? He was right. And that leaves us with this massive question, one that people are still trying to figure out today. The Declaration was an incredible step forward, no doubt. But Marat's warning forces us to ask, is it enough to have good rules on paper? So, I'll leave you with this. What do you think it takes to make a rulebook, for a game or for a country, that's truly fair for every single person playing?